Now, if you've ever done a blood test and if you've seen those LDL levels on a rise or what we call as bad cholesterol, and you're like, wait, I've been eating healthy, I've also been following a diet, so why is my LDL cholesterol levels on a rise or my bad cholesterol levels on a rise? So, is it my genetics or is it just normal to have high LDL cholesterol levels as we age and then maybe just take some medications to lower those cholesterol levels? Well, all that is literally crap that's fed to you. The thing is that most of the foods that we eat, we think are healthy because it says right there on the packet that it's healthy. But some of these everyday foods might just be clogging up your arteries. And the worst part is that it doesn't really show you now, but much ahead in time. So today we are going to talk about 11 foods that are raising your LDL cholesterol levels and are literally pushing you towards and much closer to a heart disease. And these are the foods that you should literally stay away from. So number one is your bacon, your hot dogs, and even your sausages. Now we've all been there. We just know that the smell of crispy bacon and just having hot dogs, maybe at a barbecue, or even just having that English breakfast where you have them on the sides with your deli cuts. And it's a food that just taps right into those cravings, your comfort, and your pleasure. And literally, even though the West considered having an English breakfast, which is your eggs and the sausages and the different deli cuts and the hot dogs, as a very healthy meal, that might just be one of the major problems because processed meat might just be damaging our body in so many ways that we might not be able to even see it. So even though we think that that English breakfast is healthy, the simple things like your bacon sausages or even your hot dogs or even adding these deli cuts in general in your meals have always shown to raise LDL cholesterol levels. That's why processed meat in a way is somewhere a silent killer when it comes to your health. And even studies show that it's not just about raising your LDL levels, but also having a lot of these processed meats inflames your arteries. And with that, it also raises your risk of getting a heart disease by 42%. And you literally have to get this that heart disease is the leading cause of deaths globally. So the very thing that makes you feel full and satisfied and you think is healthy might just be one of the major reasons for a heart disease. And of course, your LDL cholesterol levels. And if you think about it, your processed meat comes under the same category, which is your group 1 carcinogens, which is very similar to tobacco and even asbestosis. So you think that you're having a healthy breakfast, but you're just having another carcinogen. And having processed meat is as good as just you smoking 5 cigarettes. Now, the next thing are the foods that are all literally fried. Now, I know we all love fried foods, and who doesn't love fried foods? Like, I can think of literally having a McDonald's fries anytime. And I don't know anyone who doesn't love fries. But the thing with any of the fried foods, or even your fries, or anything that is deep fried, is the trans fats. And trans fats are those unhealthy fats that shouldn't be even in our body. And even studies show that if you have foods with really high trans fats or foods that are fried, so it could even be things like your street food that are deep fried, they raise your LDL cholesterol levels by around 25%, increasing the risk of your heart disease very significantly. So I'm not just talking about a McDonald's fries, but I'm also talking about even your fried chicken and even a lot of Indian street foods which are very deep fried. And I know you would want to eat them every time you pass maybe a street vendor, but those fats are dangerous and they create this very greasy substance that eventually clogs up your arteries, and you don't really want that in your system. So every time you even dig into that bucket of fried chicken like a KFC, you are adding fuel to the fire of inflammation and even cholesterol buildup. Plus, when it comes to heart disease, it not only affects you, but it also affects the people around you, and it also affects the quality of your life. So one thing you can do is just try and swap all those fried foods for a lot of oven baked, which are freshly made at home, or you can even have a lot of things like your air fried food that can also be made at home. So if you feel like you want to eat the snacks that you're craving, it's quite like the best of both worlds and it will not affect your cholesterol levels as much. Number three is your full fat dairy. To all the cheese lovers, brace yourself because that ooey gooey and that melting cheese that we all like, even watching them in commercials, are one of your main reasons for raising your LDL levels. But the sad news is that this full fat dairy is packed with a lot of saturated fat that can be very heavy on your heart and not in a good way. And even there are studies that show that when you have foods with full fat dairy, It increases your cholesterol levels by up to 53%. And when your LDL levels are this high, it's like putting a lot of roadblocks or just creating a lot of traffic jams on your arteries. And if those traffic jams are a lot around the arteries near the heart, that will cut off the smooth flow of blood going to the heart and also might cause a heart attack. So just try and reduce your consumption of full fat dairy and even dairy products because you don't want that build up to happen. Or you can go for plant-based sources because plant-based sources generally don't have cholesterol at all. Now the next is your red meat, pork, and even lamb. So red meat was something that was pretty luxurious and only the rich would consume it. And if you go almost a decade and a half ago, it was only consumed during celebrations. But these days, most people consume it almost every day. And when you consume red meat, very often it throws your heart out of balance because when you consume red meat it creates a compound that's called TMAO, which fast tracks your cholesterol buildup. And not just that, those who consume red meat on a regular basis are 2.5 times more likely to get a heart disease or suffer from any other heart related issue. So if you're someone whose LDL levels are literally high, red meat is something that you should look out for. Now the next is coconut oil. Now coconut oil has been marketed as a superfood for years, but thing is that coconut oil has 82% saturated fat. That's more than even butter. And the thing when it comes to coconut oil is that coconut oil on an external use is beautiful. So when it comes to your hair, when it comes to your skin, when it even comes to just giving your body a very good massage, coconut oil is brilliant. But consuming coconut oil might just be a problem because even studies have shown that coconut oil might just raise your LDL levels as much as butter does. In fact, if you just take 1 tablespoon of coconut oil, that's already 12 grams of saturated fat, which is 50% more than the daily recommended intake. And if you're using coconut oil in like a smoothie, that's like adding a stick of butter to it, which sounds healthy, but it just boosts your cholesterol levels. Now, the next is your packaged snacks. Now, whenever we are hungry and we want to literally grab a quick fix or a quick snack, we go for anything like your chips or even if your pretzels or just your biscuits. But anything that is convenient comes with a cost because these snacks are often filled with a lot of preservatives, a lot of salt, a lot of fat, and a lot of sugar. And most of the time we don't really realize it, but all of this adds up and they disrupt your body's balance. And people who frequently consume these snacks, so if you're someone who frequently consumes chips or you're consuming any of those Doritos or even a lot of those packaged biscuits, well, you're increasing your heart disease by around 30%. Because if you notice, whenever you eat those chips, you have a very nice salty taste or you have a very nice, oily or fatty taste. That itself means that there is a lot of sodium in it and it has a lot of fat in it, which will increase your LDL cholesterol levels. And not just that, it adds unnecessary stress to your body. Now, here's the tricky part that most of these foods that also claim to be healthy, like a Nutri-Choice or a cream cracker, any of these, if it says low fat, that means it has a lot of sugar added to it. And if it says, no sugar added to it, you can just look at the ingredient section and you'll see the amount of fat that's added to it. And all these biscuits that claim to be healthy are not even close to healthy. They're just damaging your body over time. Yes, they are tasty, but it raises your bad cholesterol. Plus, to just keep that shelf life of the product, what they do is that they add in a lot of preservatives to it, which eventually enters our system and it affects our body. So, as I said, it might seem very convenient and might seem like a quick fix, but in the long run, it's a big damage to your heart and also to your LDL levels. And one trick that we should really consider is that whenever you feel hungry, just go and grab in some fruits. It's a much better option than going for those convenient snacks, which in the long term will affect you very aggressively. So just try and take some fruits and just put some mixed seeds on it. That's a perfect snack to have. Next is your fast food. Now, fast food, like your packaged snacks, just seems very convenient. It's even cheaper, but the cheap price you pay for that snack will cost you a lot in the long run. Because for that moment, it's going to satisfy your hunger. But fast food is loaded with unhealthy fats, a lot of sodium, and a lot of sugar, which eventually puts strain on your heart. And even there's a study that if you consume fast food around twice a week, it raises your LDL cholesterol levels by 25%, but it raises your risk of heart disease by 56%. And as I said, sure, it's very convenient to consume fast food, but is it worth the risk of dying by 56%? Well, that's a heavy price to pay if you just want convenience or fast food. Well, fast food, yes, it is tempting, but just make sure that you control the amount you indulge in it. And on the other end, just try and go for a lot of home cooked meals. Because when you home cook your meals, you're putting very wholesome ingredients in it that end up fueling your body really well and your heart really loves it. The next we have is sugary cereals. Now, it's always said that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, which is always debatable. But starting with sugary cereals just causes a lot of imbalance. So, when you have a lot of these sugary cereals, yes, they will give you a lot of energy because of the amount of sugar it has in it. Plus, it will also give you a very strong crash. And that sugar rush you get from your breakfast cereal is actually rushing cholesterol in your bloodstream. So, if you think having your Kellogg's or your Special K's or anything that is very sugary, including your Fruity Loops, it's not healthy and it's not the thing you should start your day with. And this is one of the shocking things that you should know about. So, a study found that high sugar intake increases your LDL cholesterol and it also increases the risk of your cardiovascular disease by 98%. Because these cereals create insulin spikes, they also create inflammation and a lot of stress within your system. But in case you want to start your day with something more on the sweeter side, you can always go with a bowl of fruits. So it will not just give you energy, but the best part is that it doesn't really have cholesterol, and the fiber in fruits will also help you reduce your cholesterol levels. The next we have is butter and margarine. Now, butter and margarine both have their place. Now, both of them are rich in fats and they will increase your cholesterol levels, especially your LDL cholesterol levels, if you have them very mindlessly. Because butter is loaded with saturated fats and margarine is loaded with a lot of trans fats. And even if you check the research, it just says that 1 tablespoon of butter or margarine can raise your LDL cholesterol levels by 10 to 15%. And that is just a single tablespoon. So think about it, the next time you spread that butter or margarine on a toast, you know what it does to your system. And a better option to have toast and butter, for example, or toast and margarine, for example, is just you can rather switch them with having avocado and toast, which is a much better option and a much healthier option. And I know when it comes to butter, it's just so tasty, and that is majorly because of the amount of fat that it has in it. And anything that has a lot of fat, a lot of sugar, and a lot of salt just ends up tasting so good. But all of this is just for that moment. But in the long term, they have a lot of effects when it comes to your cholesterol levels and even when it comes to affecting your heart. Now, the next are your commercial baked goods, which are your muffins, your donuts, your cookies, and even your pastries. Now, these commercially baked goods might just seem very good to have with your coffee. Like, you would just want to have like a muffin with a coffee. It might seem like something that's very Instagrammable. Or even if you have those sugary donuts with your tea, like it might just seem great, but that pleasure that you get is very short lived. But when you consider the long term effects of it, these treats are usually filled with a lot of sugar, a lot of fat, and a lot of salt. And all these increase your LDL cholesterol levels. And even there is a research that shows that trans fats found in these can increase your LDL levels by up to 34%. So they clog up your arteries faster than even you can say chocolate chip cookie. And very unfortunately, the sugars or the refined sugars that are present in them lead to inflammation, which also damages not just your energy but also your sex drive. So one of the things that you can really do is, if you can, just try and keep them as far away as you can. But if you're indulging in them, try to not indulge in them too often. But if you really crave for them, just try and maybe just bake them at home. Because firstly, you'll have control over the ingredients, and secondly, it's made by you, so you'll enjoy it even more and it will also satisfy your cravings. Now, the last is your ice cream. Now, ice cream might sound like the ultimate treat, but even that one scoop comes with a hidden price tag. Because most ice creams firstly have a lot of sugar and they have a lot of saturated fat. So even a small scoop of ice cream or a small portion of ice cream can create a cholesterol spike. And the thing when it comes to ice cream is that even if you go to your kitchen and you check those tubs or you check those packaged cones or those sticks, you will be able to see that the cholesterol that is mentioned there is ridiculously high. No wonder they write it so small. And it's not just me, even research shows that when you consume something like a high fat dairy dessert, and if you consume it regularly, it increases the risk of your heart disease by around 49%. So, ice cream might seem like something that is beautiful to indulge on, but try to just have it very mindfully. So if you're someone who has a sweet tooth, then these are a better option as compared to filling yourself up with a lot of cholesterol. And also, the thing with ice cream is that we don't end up just having one scoop. Because who really has one scoop of ice cream? And if you're someone who consumes a lot of these 11 foods that I've mentioned and your LDL levels are on the rise, well, I just want you to try and reduce all these foods as much as you can, and you'll automatically see these LDL levels drop. And the next time you take your blood test, you will see a very drastic difference. And if you like what you saw, do check out any other videos on this channel which are health related or which might just help you when it comes to your health. And until we meet again next, don't stress and be awesome. Rocher that.